This morning, we're giving a voice to victims like 5-year-old Harmony Montgomery, as we're trying to find out why she was sent to live with her father, who ended up killing her. The Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court has ruled that audio recordings from Harmony's 2019 child custody hearing will be released. Her father, Adam, is serving 56 years to life in prison for his daughter's murder. And Harmony's body, to this day, still hasn't been found. Recently, the court heard arguments about why the recordings should be released.
Obviously, the most important consideration is trying to figure out what went terribly wrong here. Is there anything that shouldn't be turned over? I mean, are there any residual privacy interests that we have to take into account here, given that? I mean, I'm trying to understand, is there anything that should be impounded in your view?
So a filmmaker wanted access to those records for a film that he's producing on the Massachusetts child protection and juvenile court systems. Joining me now, retired juvenile court judge Carol Erskin, who also handled the adoption of Harmony's brother Jameson, and that's not all. She wrote the book A Cruel Injustice, all about how Massachusetts put little 4-year-old Harmony into the hands of that monster. And the judge is on the program with us today to talk about it. Judge Erskin, good morning to you. I always say you are one of Harmony's greatest advocates. That is the truth. You're not getting a penny for this book, by the way, all the proceeds being donated, and to the Dave Thomas Adoption Foundation. When you heard this news, Judge, about what the court ruled, when the SJC said, okay, this can be released to that filmmaker, what was your reaction?
Well, good morning, Julie. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for your advocacy for Harmony and for all child victims. I was very encouraged to see the decision. I was actually in agreement that there should be some limited release of the audio. As you know, I spent 2 years trying to piece together what happened in that hearing based on the OCA report and based on my knowledge of the system and how it works. And as the decision came out 2 days ago, it basically confirmed what I said in the book, and that is that there really are no privacy rights any longer. There's no attorney-client privilege any longer. That it's important to, in some cases, it's very important for the public to know what happens behind closed doors. So this was a very narrow decision, releasing it only to the documentarian, and it's redacted to keep out names like Jameson and other children of Crystal Sori. And then the audio can be released, I think, after the documentary. So it wasn't a sweeping decision opening up the juvenile court, which is what I had hoped they would say. But I agree, and of course I made that argument very strongly in my book, that it's time to open this up and tell the truth instead of letting Massachusetts hide behind things like confidentiality, privacy, and attorney-client privilege, because that's what the state of Massachusetts wants. They want to keep it a secret.
Right, and it is certainly not lost on us, Judge, that you were the first one to say it and the first one to make that push with that great book that you wrote. Something I found interesting, perhaps you do too, Judge, and we have a clip on this, I want to play it now, that even Harmony's mother, biological mother, Crystal Sori, and Adam Montgomery, didn't block the release of that information. Let's take a look.
Particular case. The mother herself has freely discussed the substance abuse issues that led her to lose custody of her child. The father, who one would think would have some objections to disclosure, has not objected to disclosure at all.
And so that attorney representing the filmmakers in this push to get that release. Judge, what did you think about them not caring that the information's out there?
Well, I think Crystal Sori wants validation of the fact and what I said in the book, and that is that she was legitimately in another court for a pretrial hearing on Jameson's case. And basically the court said that the Office of the Child Advocate said that They did redact some information regarding Harmony. Her lawyer argued that she was opposed to some things, and they did allow those redactions. I think, of course, the father wants it because he looks good in that case, because you have lawyers who are not asking questions in the department, lawyers who basically failed to put on any kind of effective case. The child's lawyer who completely agreed with Harmony going with her father based on the fact that the child's lawyer took the position that that's what 4-year-old Harmony wanted, which is something I never believed. And so basically what came in as was said by the OCA was that the judge relied on the positive testimony that came in from Adam Montgomery. So you can see why he would want that, because it makes him look good. The problem is it doesn't tell really the true story of what happened. I mean, he was living with Kayla Montgomery, who was actively using heroin and other substances. That never came in. She was never tested. There's no indication that Adam Montgomery was even drug tested, only that he had complied with substance abuse counseling. Well, he was complying with it while he was in New Hampshire, using heroin and meth every single day while he was beating and abusing Harmony. So much of the information is left out. And I think that's what people need to know. But that's why he wants it in, because only his case really came into evidence in front of the judge.
With this insight you're sharing is so helpful, Judge. It's so awful. It makes me want to cry as I'm thinking about this. I know it has broken your heart in every way, hearing about what this child went through, being failed by so many people that should have been protecting her. And do you think, Judge, I know we don't, we can't go back in time, and we don't know how this would have played out if things would have gone differently. If in that hearing, Harmony was not allowed to return to her father, do you think that she could have actually wound up with her brother Jameson, with Blair and Jonathan Miller, those wonderful parents who are raising Jameson now?
Well, I think that certainly is a distinct possibility. I mean, if it hadn't gone that way, I think if she was still in foster care, then of course the Department of Children and Families looks to keep siblings together. And I think that was a distinct possibility. Or if she wasn't returned to the mom, then she could have possibly gone back to the very loving foster parents who took care of her for most of the 4 years that she was in custody. I think she was only out of custody, not out of custody, but only back with her mom for about 15 months total. So yeah, it would be a distinct possibility, because when Blair and Jonathan met Jameson in June, if Harmony still had been in foster care, for example, if the department had done anything
We're
like
just about
actually
out of
appealing the case.
time. Right, they could have. I know they wanted to take her. Yeah, they would have taken her if they legally could have.